surface water or roof water down our downpipes, off the gutters of our patios. How can that interfere with our sewage systems, private or public? The big public treatment plants get overwhelmed during the storm. They have to dump water, or water overflows into our rivers and streams. Now, it's the same with the private systems, treatment plants. They go into land, into our rivers. Treatment plants are often left for months on end without being checked. Families or individuals think that what they produce from their house is just a drop in the ocean. It's only me. How can I make a difference? Yep. Well, you do make a difference, because there's tens of thousands, there's millions of you. In Guildford, for instance, they're going to increase the public sewer treatment works by 120,000 just to cope with what I think is the rainwater and the surface water. The public mains are the same as private systems, but the scale is different. With private systems, there's only 2 people, maybe 8 people, possibly 32 personnel. But with the public treatment works, you have millions, literally millions. Thames Water, I think, does 15 million, including London. The point I'm trying to make in my clumsy way is that these little treatment plants, these middle-sized treatment plants, the great big treatment plants, they've all got one thing in common, and that is they've got a particular size depending on how many people they're going to have to deal with. In other words, if it's a treatment plant handling 4 to 6 people, then it'll have a certain size holding tank. If it's larger and it does 12 people, it'll have a slightly larger holding tank, and so forth and so forth. And when it gets to a big one, most of the tank is taken up by the holding tank. And the idea of having a great big holding tank, because there's lots of people, is so that there is separation of the solids. Fat, grease and grease mixed with a bit of solids floats to the top. Solids find their way to the bottom. They sink to the bottom of the tank, which leaves the middle of the tank, which is called the separated milky water. If you leave the tank too long, it gets too thick, and then that's what goes into land drains on the river. We time the emptying and the servicing not when the tank is completely solid with excreta and paper and all the rest of the waste, because if it gets too solid, there's no space in the holding tanks for separation. Too much solids goes through into the treatment area. Surface water or roof water will overwhelm the treatment plant. The treatment plant, either public one or the private one, stops working and then discharges into the stream or the ground or land. These white containers here, one container is 1,000 litres, a cubic metre, and that's what a small treatment plant will use up to during the day, during 24 hours. If it is a big treatment plant, 5 of these you'd fill up in a 24-hour period with 32 people, say. To put it in plain language, a 4-bedroom house would be 8 people, say, and each person uses 150 litres to 200 litres per day, and they'll not reach a cubic metre, 1,000 litres per 24 hours. And the bigger the treatment plant you get, obviously up to 5 cubic metres or 5,000 litres, obviously you can work that out. But what you can't work out, either not very much water because there's only one roof into it or one manhole leaking, or all the downpipes are going into it. It's double the quantity that you would use, or it's 10 times. I've seen houses big houses where all the rainwater has been connected inadvertently, and of course it's 20 cubic meters per day. That would be for a large house with all the downpipes connected. But if it's a small house and there's only one pipe connected, then it's bound to be double the amount that you're allowed to use or put down the drains. This only happens while it's pouring down with rain. You can imagine what a storm does. if it's really chucking it down, if it really is stutting off the bottom, if it's ponding on the surface, then it'll find anything that is lower than the ground easily. And this video demonstrates that. I'm using a 1/2-inch hose here, and you can see it just found the manhole quite easily and it's pouring in there. Surface water and roof water mixes with sewage as it goes down the sewer pipe, because it shouldn't be in the sewer pipe. Once it mixes, it's all sewage, and then it goes through the treatment plant, picking up stuff from the holding tank. Poor quality of treatment, very poor, if any, and then discharges in the streams and the land, and eventually into the thing we love, the sea.